In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
You believe the success of your ketogenic diet depends solely on how much weight loss it produces? Let's define success in another way. Eating low carb, moderate protein, high fat puts your body into a state of ketosis, bringing about healing from the inside out. The major benefits of going keto using real food include lowered blood sugar, decreased insulin, minimized inflammation, increased energy, the removal of hunger and cravings, falling triglyceride levels, raised HDL good cholesterol, and spontaneous periods of intermittent fasting. When all of this happens, the result has this happy side effect known as weight loss. Keto is not about temporary fleeting weight loss, it's about permanent life-sustaining health gains.
Simplified short-form keto videos found exclusively at ketowhiteboard.info. Watch it, share it, live it.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. We start the show on Instagram Live, and we simulcast it here on Facebook Live as well. JimmyRants.com is the website, and you can see the links to how you follow me. Go follow me at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. You can do that on Instagram and Facebook and even on YouTube, because the replay, all the past episodes, you can watch on YouTube, almost 300 of them now. So go type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show on YouTube. Finally, we do have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. I just took a peek in today on Apple Podcasts, and a lot of people are listening to the episodes. I think we're almost at 100 episodes of the podcast. So go check it out, you guys, over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants was inspired by an email that I got overnight. And in the email from this gentleman who wrote to me through my website, he had an interesting topic that I definitely want to address here today. And so what I'm going to talk about here today is, if the scale is the only thing that is motivating you on your keto journey, I think it's time to reassess and take a closer look at what's going on in how you're doing. Because the people that overly obsess about their weight, when the weight stops going down, how do you motivate yourself? When the weight stops moving, let's just say you hit your goal weight, what motivates you then? So there's a lot of kind of questions to this. And of course, it also assumes that weight is the goal of keto. And you guys know that is not what I teach. I teach the goal is to get healthy. And by getting healthy, you get this nice side effect known as weight loss. And you know how I feel about the scale. When people bring up the scale, I call it the lying liar that lies. And I'm going to keep calling it that, because I think it does more harm than good to obsessively step on the scale. But let's read what this gentleman had to say. He wrote to me, "Hi, Jimmy. It is frequently touted that the scale lies." Yeah, I say it all the time. It's the lying liar that lies. That's what I say all the time. One of my favorite phrases to say, by the way. "While I accept this as true in general," I hear a but coming, "but the problem is I find that with being 75 plus pounds overweight, the scale is what shows me progress before a tape measure or my pants ever will." Do you guys find that? Do you guys find that you get validation from a scale long before you see it in measuring your inches, long before you see it in the way your clothes feel? Yeah, it's probably more true than not, because you get incremental changes little by little by little. So I suppose there's some validity to the statement that he's giving me. The scale will show several pounds of loss long before a tape measure will even show a quarter of an inch of weight loss. I find it harder to stay motivated at all without using the scale, but then I become somewhat obsessive with weighing myself. So that's the tricky balance, you guys. When you step on a scale for validation and for motivation in your keto journey, if it's weight loss, when you step on that scale, yes, you get kind of an immediate feedback, but it ain't always good feedback. Sometimes the feedback is you put on a half a pound. Do you feel good when that happens? Sometimes you put on 2 pounds. Oh my God, the world's coming to an end when you gain 2 pounds on the scale. And we've all played those games with ourselves. Do you have any advice that you can share with me to help with my motivation? Oh, you bet I do. And I did respond to him. I'm going to read that here to you guys in a minute. And should I be using a different method for tracking composition changes like a body fat meter? So guys, that was the question that inspired this Jimmy Rants here today. And again, if you're just joining us, I'm asking the question or making the statement. If the scale is the only thing that's motivating you on your keto journey, I think it's time to reassess. Because you guys hear me talk about this quite a bit on this show, that I think the scale is an incomplete lying liar that lies way to see where you are in your journey. So if you're trying to get healthy with a ketogenic diet, why are you obsessing about what your weight is doing when I would argue you need to obsess about what your health markers are doing and what your health is doing, and then this nice little side effect known as weight loss tends to happen. So you guys want to hear how I responded to this gentleman and his concerns about how do I track my progress if I can't step on the scale? Here's what I wrote back. I wrote this morning. Thanks so much for writing. If you weigh yourself every single day, then perhaps what you've shared is true. Because he's like, oh, I can't track my progress near with doing measurements and things like that if I don't step on the scale every day. So if that's your template for determining your success or failure on keto, then I suppose what he's saying is correct. But my contention of describing the scale as the lying liar that lies isn't that it doesn't give you feedback. It certainly does. The problem is it's a distorted and incomplete response because you don't know how much of that weight loss was water, was fat, and possibly even muscle weight loss or weight gain, either way, you guys. So let's say you lose 2 pounds of body fat, but you put on 2 pounds of muscle. It's going to show 0 on the scale. Did you do something good? You bet you did. You lost fat and you gained muscle. And so I think the inverse happens too. Sometimes people early on when they go keto, they're dumping so much water out of their body from dumping the glycogen stores. They're peeing a lot, and so they lose a lot of weight really fast. And oh my gosh, I lost 5 pounds in the past couple of days. This is awesome. I'm going to lose 5 pounds every day. And then when it slows down, oh my gosh, what in the sky is falling. It's just not working anymore. And I'm going, yeah, no, please stop that. So the problem is a distorted, incomplete response because you don't know how much fat, water, and muscle is reflected either up or down on the scale. That doesn't help you at all. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face. The scale only shows you your relationship to gravity and its pull on Earth. That's it. That's all the scale shows you. Your scale doesn't give you value. The scale doesn't tell you how awesome you are. The scale doesn't really reflect anything about anything that's happening in your health per se. It's merely a gravity pull measuring device. That's it. That's it. Of which I like to take a sledgehammer to. Maybe on Jimmy Rants one of these days, I'm going to take a sledgehammer to a scale and just beat the crap out of it. Who wants to see me beat the snot out of it, as we say here in the South? some scale. That'd be a lot of fun. Even the body fat scales that you mentioned can be subject to flaw. So they do have this thing called a body impedance scale that you can step on. It shows your percentage of body fat. But even those can be flawed, and even a scale can be flawed. You guys know you can shift your weight forward or backwards and make it have a number come on the thing, or you can like lean to the side a little bit and you can try. Don't tell me you don't play those games, you guys. You're talking to the king of who used to weigh himself on that scale. We've all played those games. We've all gotten on the scale and, oh yeah, I can shift my body weight this angle. Oh, there it is. That's the number I want. And we are just fooling ourselves. Why play those games anymore? Why even go through all that? So here's what I wrote to him. My solution: be confident in your diet and lifestyle choices, like eating keto, making sure you get good sleep, engaging in high intensity interval training, implementing a solid stress management plan, and then know that it's working for you just fine without the need for any kind of daily reinforcement and motivation at all. Those are all lingering aspects of the old dieting world we are no longer engaged in. And that's true, you guys. The reason we so obsessively step on a scale is friggin' Weight Watchers. We so obsessively step on the scale because, oh, it's weigh-in time. We need to weigh in and see how we're doing. And if it's down for the week, we did good. And if it's up for the week, uh-oh, you must have done something bad. It's nonsense what we have put ourselves through psychologically all around this subject of weight. And everybody does it, you guys, and it's reinforced. Oh, you need to make sure you're losing weight. People have been asking me since I've been doing this keto carnivore, how much weight have you lost? It looks like you've lost weight, and I have. But heck if I know. I don't know. I'm not weighing myself because that's not what is the most important factor. It's very obvious. If you watch me on these Jimmy rants every single day, it's very obvious I've lost weight. It's very obvious from these shirts that are now engulfing me that I'm losing weight. But I don't need a stupid scale to tell me that I'm losing weight, because weight loss is not really the ultimate goal. Would I like to lose weight and lose body fat and have a slimmer figure? Absolutely. But is that the ultimate goal? Nope. The ultimate goal is to maximize and optimize the health that I have. And maybe it's a product of my age. I'm 47 years old, and at this point in my life, I don't really care what people think about me. I don't care if you think I'm a fat slob or whatever, but I sure do care about wanting to live to 110. I sure do want to be optimally healthy in my later years in life. I've got another story here about longevity and what it takes to get there, and whether it's modern medicine or whether it's things that other things that are involved that I'm going to talk about on a future Jimmy Rants. But my goal is to live a long and healthy life and be vibrant. I'll be like 90 years old. Yeah, we're back here with another episode of Jimmy Rants, and today we have episode 5,437, and I think all these years later, we should still be cutting our carbohydrates, and it's kept me to the ripe old age of 97 years old. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? That's my goal, you guys. Not weight loss. Not weight loss. If you're being proactive in making healthier choices, then you are far better off than all the crappy garbage in the world you could possibly be eating. And that's a huge take-home message. We oftentimes forget the power that has come from a mindset change about food. When I went full-on low-carb in 2004, that was the first time in my life that I truly felt in control of my food choices, being deliberate about making better choices for my health. And it still exists today. Every single action that I do when it comes to feeding myself is all motivation and predication on that decision that I made 15 years ago that I wanted to be healthy. And not just that I wanted to be healthy. Yes, it started off as a weight loss journey, but it became a health journey when I realized that what I was putting in my mouth was having the most effect on my health. And so we often forget that when we start a plan like keto, that we're not eating all that crap anymore. So it's a win no matter what the scale is showing you. It's a win that you now, perhaps for the first time in your life, give a crap about what you put in your mouth and how it's affecting your health. That's huge, you guys. And this gentleman that wrote to me, I was trying to give him that perspective of, look, you're making far better choices in your health. Do you think somehow keto isn't working because you're not seeing some silly machine tell you it's working or not? It's working because you're not eating the crap anymore. We forget about all that stuff we used to do. For me, it was Coca-Cola, Little Debbie snack cakes, fast food, junk food galore. And now we're not having those things anymore. That's a win. That in and of itself already shows your mindset is in the right place to be healthy. Now, is the weight always going to cooperate? No. But does that mean you should give up on keto because you're not, quote, losing enough weight fast enough? You're not seeing the progress like this gentleman was saying? No, there's good things to happen. We're going to get to that here in a second. Periodically, maybe once a month, you can check in on your weight to see how you're doing. But I think you get far better information from testing blood sugar, from testing your blood ketones, and all these other signs of change in your metabolic health that are far more interesting. Things like triglycerides, HSCRP, which is an inflammation marker, A1C, which shows you how your blood glucose control has been over the past 3 months, fasting insulin, a key hormone in your body that the lower you have it, the easier it is to lose weight. For me, this is the one that's still the bugaboo for Jimmy Moore. I still have moderately elevated insulin, not type 2 diabetes level, but somewhere between like 10 to 15. Ideally, I want to get it down closer to 5 or below. And so I'm working on that. And taking 6 months off later this year is going to help with that a whole lot. In fact, just yesterday, if you missed my show, Keto Talk, I do a podcast on Thursdays with Dr. Will Cole. He's a functional medicine practitioner in Pittsburgh. And he and I did a whole episode all about all of these health tests that you can have run to assess where you are in your keto lifestyle. And all those health tests, you guys, are far more interesting, far more illustrative of where you are in your health journey with keto than stepping on the lying liar that lies. I'm going to scream this till I'm blue in the face because I think far too many people are trusting that scale to give them the validation for their ketogenic journey, when at the end of the day, the scale's really not telling you that much. I equate stepping on the scale to testing your total cholesterol. Does it tell you anything? Nope. Because there's one part of that total cholesterol you want higher, HDL. So if you see a high total cholesterol, do we know it's high because you have high HDL cholesterol? One of the numbers on your total cholesterol is estimated, calculated, your LDL-C. They don't even directly measure LDL. And yet it shows up in that number of your total cholesterol. Does that mean anything? One number on your cholesterol panel doesn't even show up in your total cholesterol. That's very important, and that's your triglycerides. So I equate, you guys, stepping on the lying liar that lies, the scale, as the same thing as testing your total cholesterol. It doesn't really tell you anything about how you're doing in your health. So I continued in my last paragraph to this gentleman. Are you picking up what I'm laying down here? Obsessing so much over what the scale is doing is a surefire way of absolutely discouraging yourself from the progress you are making in your health, and you're very likely doing just fine. Sometimes people just need to be reassured. Are you sure I'm okay? Are you sure that this is? I wanna have that validation. I need that motivation. You're probably doing just fine. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Then I said, relax Enjoy the journey. Stop looking for validation in what you are doing because you got this. Thanks again for writing. Hopefully this encouraged you to keep going today. Now go get it. So guys, this is illustrative of a lot of people that write to me. And they say, you know, I hear you talk about not weighing, that the scale's a lying liar that lies, but I need that. Can I tell you your obsession with the scale is almost like what we talked about the other day with that whole orthorexia, where you become so obsessed with every little morsel of every little thing you do in your diet. So because you're so worried it's going to cause health problems, stepping on the scale every single day, to me, is another form of orthorexia. And it ain't good. It ain't good mentally, and especially a lot of women will write to me. This was a gentleman here today, but a lot of women will write me and say, I need that scale to move or I'm failing. And I'm going, okay, this is where you know that about yourself, that you're a slave to the scale. Why don't you go ahead and put that scale away into the closet? Just put it away like 30 days. And of course, they all freak out when I say that. And then why don't you look at other signs of how you feel? How you feel is amazing. Let's look at how long you can go between meals, which means your hunger is satisfied. Why don't we look at that as a health marker? Why don't you look at your energy levels? Again, all of these are subjective, but they're definitely signs that you're doing good things in your body with your keto journey. We need to stop letting the scale be the be-all, end-all. I used to hate it watching The Biggest Loser, and they'd show the little weekly weigh-in. Bleep, 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 bleep. Oh, yay, I lost 4.7 pounds. Okay, but how do you feel? Are you hungry? Are you getting the benefits that you're looking for? Is it really all about what the weight's doing? Is it really all about having validation from a machine that tells you whether you're, quote, good or, quote, bad? I don't think so. So guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, if the scale is the only thing that's motivating you on your keto journey right now, I think it's time for you to reassess where you are. Because the scale is not that be-all, end-all that we all think that it is. And the scale isn't the only thing that's changing. Even if the scale isn't going down, and oh my God, if it's going up a little bit, it ain't the end of the world if all your health markers and all the good signs that keto's helping you are in place. All right, let me see what you guys have to say. Welcome in. We're going to start with Instagram. We'll be over to you guys here in a minute on Facebook. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks, guys, for being here. My scale moves every time I move, says George. Yeah, when you shift your weight one side, we all have done this, and you kind of shift forward, and then you shift back until you get the number that you want. We've all done that. Bonnie says, although my pants are becoming looser, I still would feel more motivation losing some pounds. You are losing pounds, Bonnie. Like I said earlier, when you're losing fat, you could be also putting on muscle. When you drop water early on, and then that water weight slows down because you don't have any more water in your muscles to dump, you don't need to get discouraged. You are doing well. If your clothes are getting looser, that's your sign that good things are happening. Liz says, I tell people the number on the scale is not all fat, so just throw it away. Exactly, Liz. You don't know. On a scale weight, it typically is water early on, and then later on, it's body fat and it's muscle. Okay? So you can either put on those things or take off those things. And when you're a keto burner, you're going to dump the water fast, which is why keto people typically show more weight loss than, say, a low-fat diet, because you're dumping all those glycogen stores, and in the glycogen is in the water in your muscles. So when those dump out and you go pee a lot early on keto, you lose a lot of weight really fast. When I started on the Atkins diet, I lost 14 pounds in that first week. But I was 410 pounds. And I was highly addicted to sugar. So I was dumping a lot of water weight. And then after that, it obviously slowed down significantly. 4X shirts down to large, waist 60 down to 42, and still shrinking. You go, George. That's awesome, man. BS Bird says the scale has been the be-all end-all forever. When the scale goes up for me, I remind myself this journey is the rest of my life, not just today. I've started checking ketones and glucose. Yeah, I think checking ketones and glucose is far better than that scale will ever be. Anna says, the lying liar that lies makes me laugh. So true. I just hate my scale. It makes me cry. So no more scale for me. I'm only going to go by how my clothes fit and how I feel. So Anna, I would love to have a keto meetup where I invite in everybody who is breaking up this really abusive relationship with their scale, and have you guys bring your scale. So if you, let's say you fly into Greenville, South Carolina, and we all bring our scales, and we all get a big old sledgehammer and all at one time smash them to smithereens. How beautiful a sight would that be to have hundreds of people smashing their scale, making their commitment to no longer be a slave to it, and to now break free from that bondage that you've had your entire life. There's people that are still enslaved to their scale. And if we could free ourselves from that, man, can I tell you how freeing it is? And of course, people say, well, if you don't weigh anymore, you've let yourself go. You don't care about your weight anymore. That's not true. What it means is you don't let it become so obsessive in your mind that you let it discourage you. And at this point in my life, I need things that encourage me. I need things that are less stressful in my life. I need things that are meaningful, that show my progress. I don't need a scale to give me that anymore. Maybe when I was younger, I thought that was true. But now that I'm a little older, hopefully a little bit wiser, I realize that scale really doesn't tell me a whole lot. We need a scale exorcism, says Liz. Yes. I was going to try to do that little girl from The Exorcist, but that might be scary today. Since I've gone carnivore, I feel awesome, says Anna. Pain is now reduced. BS Bird, several times a week, that is where I keep the idea of health for me. Awesome. Dude, you're looking good. Meditate the haters away. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. The scale can go up or down in pounds just overnight. It doesn't count. I measure my waistline, went from 54 to 39 inches. Wow, that's cool, Sam. So I remember interviewing Dr. Steve Finney. So he's the big researcher in the ketogenic world. And I remember he said something on a podcast I did with him. I think it was my old Ask the Low Carb Expert show. And he said something about, any given moment in time, your body weight, it's going to be shocking, guys, so check this out. Your body weight at any given moment, all throughout the day, any time of the day, could be up or down 5 pounds in a given day. 5 pounds. And so if your body weight can shift up or down 5 pounds at any given moment during the day, then when you step on a scale, how do you know if you're at that moment when you're at your, quote, lowest? How do you know if maybe at this point in time your body has shifted because there's some things going on internally that maybe you need a little more water production that makes you retain a little more water than you typically would? So we can't really look at the scale as any meaningful measurement if it's got that much variability all throughout the day. At my stage of life, I just want to be the healthiest I can be while I'm still here. Ashton, here. Bonnie says, honestly, when thinking about my weight, my motivation comes from the energy that I feel. That's exactly right, Bonnie. I would cry my days away because I had no energy. I felt lazy, but not anymore. That's awesome. Brett says, my scales battery died in January, and so I decided not to replace it and stay the course. One of the best keto decisions I ever made. I'm now living my life, or I'm not living my life from weigh-in to weigh-in anymore. It wasn't fun. No. Stepping on the scale, you get temporarily happy because you were down 2.5 pounds since yesterday. Wow. But then tomorrow you're up by 1.5 pounds. Oh no, what am I doing wrong? And it's this emotional roller coaster that we put ourselves through. And again, this is an old vestige of our dieting days. Most of us that have had weight on our body, we have dealt with all the diet mentality our entire lives. And stepping on a scale is another one of those diet mentalities that needs to be put to rest. Val says, my mother-in-law always asks me how much I have lost. I remind her every time that's not why I started keto and that my health has improved. Yeah, it's hard for me too because I'm a public figure and I'm doing this keto carnivore. How much weight have you lost? I get that question almost every day in a private message or an email. And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't care. Last time I checked, because I was doing it for the purposes of sharing publicly through an experiment in January, I was down about 4 or 5 pounds in January. And since then, I'm sure I've lost a little more because the shirts are just engulfing me now. And a lot of you guys have commented how much thinner my face looks on these videos. So I know I'm losing weight. I don't need a scale to tell me that. Anna says, walked past the chips aisle in the grocery store before I went carnivore. I would have bought them last night. It was meh. Don't even crave them anymore. I'm only carny for 3 weeks. Cravings are gone. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Darla says, weight is how we convince non-believers, unfortunately, aka my husband. Yeah, that's true, Darla. A lot of people say, well, you don't look like you've lost very much weight, so I guess that keto's not working for you. I get that one all the time. In fact, this guy on Twitter just yesterday was like, you need to admit to your followers that you're not really doing keto because it's not working for you. And if you actually did keto, maybe you'd get your life in order. You need to cut your fat in your diet. To which I go, they act like I care. Anna says, I love how I feel on keto, the way my clothes fit, and the flabby arms are now gone. That's awesome. Pammy says, I try to tell myself it's just how I feel. Then I check in on the scale, LOL. Time to burn the scale. I will help you with that. Brittany says, you know my story. I lost my first 4 pant sizes in 40 pounds. The scale then slowed down and I only lost 10 pounds, but then 3 more pant sizes. Yeah. Yeah, in 2004, when I was losing my weight initially, I had a 10-week period where I lost no weight on the scale. I mean, it literally would not budge. 10 weeks, 2.5 months. And in that time when I didn't lose weight, I lost 6 inches off of my waist. And so we can't always let that scale be the be-all, end-all. I like doing tape measurements and being able to pull out clothes from the doesn't fit yet bag. Yeah, Amy, I have several shirts that I haven't worn in a while that I put one on the other day. It's still tight, but it buttoned all the way up. It was one of those button down shirts. And I got it all buttoned up. It's too tight to wear in public yet, but those are my kind of measurements that show me how I'm doing. And that's always the coolest, right? All right, I'm going to pop over to Facebook Live now, you guys, and see what these guys have to say. Welcome in, you guys. Thanks for being here. So glad you joined us for this simulcast of Jimmy Rants. Kimberly says, this week I challenge myself and anyone that wants to join in to give up the scale for April. I get more validation from inches lost when I take my measurements once a month. Kimberly, that's a big step, and I'm very proud of you. That's so awesome. Georgie says, my non-scale victory is being told I don't have cancer for the 2nd time. Oh, that is so, so awesome. My 2nd tumor will be removed on Monday. Well, we wish you well with the surgery and congratulations. That is just so awesome. Can you gain muscle without exercising? Well, Rita, it depends. Obviously, exercise helps to stimulate muscle growth, but sometimes people don't think about things that they do maybe in their day-to-day that could be building muscle. If you are doing some yard work that you're like working in your garden and you're bending over and you're lifting up and pulling dirt, you could be exercising and don't even think about it as exercise because you didn't like do a formalized exercise. So pay attention to all the things that you do. Plus keep in mind that if you have some body weight on you and you walk around quite a bit, you're actually doing weightlifting on your legs. So you could ostensibly be building muscle in your legs because of the weight that you're carrying around in your midsection. So don't forget about that. Claire says, Jimmy is saying the same in respect to our scale discussion. Your comment about the waist measurements, you'll enjoy listening later. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that, Claire. I want to see you blow up a scale, says Kimberly. I need like a thing of TNT and watch out for the shrapnel. Georgie says, my scale has stayed the same for a year, but my clothes size has gone from a size 18 to a 10, 12. That's awesome. I'm perfectly happy with the scale staying the same because my body is shrinking down to where I want it to be. That's awesome. Such a good message today. Thank you, Amy. I try to do that every time I come on here. Such wisdom, my friend. Thanks for always uplifting us and helping us focus on what's important. You're welcome, Kimberly. Emily says, guilty here. I depend too much on that scale to track my progress. Well, hopefully today's Jimmy Rants is showing you there's a better way. My blood sugars are still slightly elevated, but I do seem to be losing some inches. And slightly elevated blood sugar alone isn't a big deal. Look at the trend over time, like we talked about on Keto Talk yesterday. In a world that is now all about instant gratification and validation, everyone wants to see instant results, says Claire. Years of brainwashing by the medical profession, being told you need to be X pounds or X BMI. Everyone is fixated on getting to those goals. Totally agree with the health markers. A1C and other blood work for cholesterol, triglycerides are awesome. Yeah, Claire, I see it the same way, like I said earlier, as cholesterol. Total cholesterol, your doctor will obsess about your total cholesterol, but it doesn't really mean a darn thing in your health. It doesn't. Triglyceride to HDL ratio is far more interesting. HSCRP, your level of inflammation, far, far more interesting than what your LDL or your total cholesterol is. If we learned anything from The Biggest Loser, says Amy, it is that they were not happy, healthy, and often gained back their weight. Hashtag throw away the lying liar that lies. I love it. I don't know how to keep the weight off after I fast. Well, Tammy, fasting is a different beast than just generally stepping on the scale. I wouldn't step on the scale after a fast because here's what happens. You go on a fast, let's say it's 7 days, and in that 7 days you lose 10 pounds. Within a couple of days after losing the 10 pounds on the fast, you gain back 6 or 7 of it. You're upset, but guess what? You can only lose about a half a pound of body fat a day. And so what you should have lost in that 7 days at most would be 3.5 pounds of body fat. So if you lost 10 pounds in that 7 days and you gain back 7 of it, 6 or 7 of it, you're right there where you're supposed to be. So I don't know what the issue is. I think sometimes we just have this distorted view of our weight and how, oh, if we lost weight fasting, of course you're going to lose weight fasting, but if we lost weight fasting, it should just magically stay off, and it doesn't work that way. I only lost 2 pounds last month, but lost 6 total inches, says Donna. No, here's how I would frame that, Donna. Despite only losing the 2 pounds last month, I lost a friggin' high amount of inches off of my waist in 6 inches. Boom. See how you change it? See how you change the mindset, the discussion? We have all of this obsession so much around our weight that we forget. Perspective here tells you that you're doing good things. And I want everybody that does whatever you do, if you're not keto, that's cool. But if you're keto especially, I want you to look at all the good things that keto does for you. I mean, the fact that this former I could eat you out of house and home guy drinking 16 cans of Coca-Cola and whole boxes of Little Debbie snack cakes at a time and fast food and junk food. That guy now only eats about 1 to 2 meals a day. Most days just 1. That's phenomenal. That's unbelievable. And my blood markers are all really good. Working on the insulin one. I don't think it has anything to do with my diet. I think it has everything to do with the stress that I deal with in the day-to-day. And I'm working on that. And I think that's the bottom line here is don't look at the scale as the only validation, the only measure of how you're tracking your progress on keto. Use it as a tool now and again, I suppose, But at the end of the day, there's so much better ways to assess where you are in your ketogenic journey. And if you look at all those ways that which we talked about here on this show, if you do all of those things, then you're going to be far healthier than you ever thought possible. Missy says people quit because the scale doesn't move. Exactly, Missy. And that's the disappointing part, is they mostly quit at the very time that things probably were turning around metabolically in their body, even though they weren't losing weight. It freaking blows my mind, says Missy. Yeah. So Christine and I, for our Nutritional Pearls podcast episode that we'll record sometime in the next few days, we found this lady on YouTube that did a video. She's got quite the following on YouTube, that she said, "This is why I quit keto." And so we're going to respond to her. And a lot of hers had to do with some really bad mistakes she was making on her ketogenic journey. Really bad things she was doing. So we're going to kind of chime in on what she did. So stay tuned for that in a future episode of Jimmy Rants coming up the next few days. Kay says, I spent 2.5 years before 30 years old being disabled. After keto, I'm completely healthy and athletic again, disease-free. And Kay, there's no scale in the world that will take that away from you. There's no scale in the world that will try to discourage you from the change that you've seen. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Alberto, remember to consider water, protein, and poop. It all has weight. If you fast, you empty your bowels. When you eat, the poop goes back in again. Exactly. There's a lot of things that impact that scale weight that, I could sit there and take a bunch of X-Lax and lose 5 pounds today. Would that be healthy? Nope. Would it show up on the scale as weight loss? Yep. I'm not doing that. Never would I do that. All right, guys, so that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. Thanks so much for joining us here today. JimmyRants.com is the website, and as always, you can engage live in the content, just like my Instagram livers and my Facebook livers did here today. Thank you guys for being here. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on Instagram for up to 24 hours before it disappears. Here on Facebook, it stays here, so you can definitely watch this. A lot of you guys here on Facebook have been sharing the videos, so please keep sharing, passing this around. Tell them all about Jimmy Rants. Point them to JimmyRants.com. Really, really appreciate that. If you missed the lives and you missed the replays, you can always watch all the past episodes up on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this year's show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.